Welcome back. It's been a while. You've been busy.
Yeah, I've been washing my hair.
Washing your hair. So, we have returned. So, you may remember we did a series of newbie videos where we tried to teach you the basic rules and kind of set up needed to play Knights Kings of War. And I finally persuaded Christine to face me on the battlefield.
Yes.
So, full confession, this isn't the first game we've played. We have had one game.
Just one practice.
Okay, and who won that game?
You didn't?
I didn't win. No, Christine won. So Christine won our first game.
No, so I play again.
Right, so she won the first game. We're playing a second game, and we're filming it this time to hopefully get an idea of a little bit of tactics. And you are playing...
Rabbits.
Rabbits?
No, elves.
Elves. Playing elves. And I'm playing Ratkin, because they're the best army. And we're playing at 750 points because it's small enough to play on a 4x4 table. It's not too much to deal with, it's not too long, but you still get a little bit of the interplay between units. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about what we're doing while we're doing it. Did I say we're filming it in a new way? Filming it in a new way. See how it goes. We better get on with it. Okay, so because this is a kind of newbie style battle report, I'm going to just do a little bit more detail on the list, but also they're really short lists, so it doesn't really matter. So this is the elf list that Christine was bringing. So she has 2 regiments of Palace Guard, a regiment of Stormwind Cavalry, an Elven Archmage, and Argus Rodnar. So let's go through these one by one. The Palace Guard, they're her melee block. Okay, so this is a unit that's speed 6, defense 4, so its defense is average, but its melee is 3+, which is better than normal infantry. They've also got elite on that, so they reroll any 1s, which makes them brilliant, and crushing strength, which means they take 1 off their opponent's defense. So this is a really nice punchy unit. I haven't put down here that they've got 12 attacks, which is, yeah, that's okay. 12 attacks per regiment, but there's 2 of them. They've got 15, 17 nerve, which is fantastic. These come in hordes, which are better, but this is such a low points game. It's better to have units, because the problem with elves is everything costs a lot. So if she's only got 5 units for her 750 points, compared to my 7. Stormwind Cavalry, so she's got 1 regiment. They're speed 9, which makes them incredibly fast for this game. Defense 5, which is great. Melee 3+, and elite again, which is great. Slightly lower nerve at 14, 16. And they've got Thunderous Charge too. So Thunderous Charge is exactly the same as Crushing Strength, except that you lose it when you're disordered. Okay, so to prevent that, so a little bit of that, I've given them Makwar's Potion of the Caterpillar as an item. It's a 20-point item. That means that they have Pathfinder, so they can go through terrain without penalty, although not obstacles. Although we didn't put any obstacles in this battlefield, so that's okay. And then we have the Archmage. So the Elven Archmages are great. Again, they're speed 6, like all elves. Defense 4, melee 4, but no one really uses them for that. Their nerve is surprisingly high for a character, 11, 13. They're an individual, which means they come with a bunch of special rules, but basically they just get an extra turn. An extra turn. And when they go to the ranged phase, because he's a ranged unit, he can turn to face in that turn. Okay, so that's just the basic individual rules. He's got a special ability called Master of Magic, which is basically elite for spells. So he can reroll 1s. And I've given him Heal 4 and Lightning Bolt 5. So he's kind of a general support character. He's got something to do every turn, either chucking a Lightning Bolt or healing. And he's pretty cool. But Argus Rodnar is the coolest character here. So he only costs 70 points. But, again, he's an individual. He's inspiring. So if you remember from the videos, inspiring is where you get to reroll your nerve check if you're killed, as long as you're within 6 inches of an inspiring source, which he is. He also has something called Altar of the Elements. That means he can grant the inspiring rule to one of his friendly units on the battlefield every ranged phase. So in this case, what Christine's going to do is run her Palace Guard as a kind of unit with the Archmage and Argus Rodnar behind them, and then send the Stormwind Cavalry off down the flank. And they will be inspiring, so they can inspire themselves, which is really, really cool. So that's their 5 units of elves, pretty elite, but it's pretty cool. So let's have a look at my 7 units of Ratkin. This is my Ratkin for 750 points. We get 2 regiments of Spear Warriors, 2 regiments of Shock Troops, a Broodmother, a Brute Enforcer, and a Weapon Team. Now, Ratkin are a less simple force really than elves. Are just very, very punchy. They're fast and punchy, and they cost a lot of points. Ratkin rely on the interdependencies of their rules. So Spear warriors they're basic warriors but with spears. They're terrible, they're really terrible, but they are speed 6. Rats are just as fast as elves, which is pretty cool. So defense 4 again, which is not great, but it's okay. Melee 5+, so that's significantly worse than Palace Guard, if you remember there were 3+, and a nerve of 12-14, which is terrible. However, they do have phalanx, so phalanx is a really cool rule. So if you've got those spears, it means that any flying or cavalry that come into your phalanx unit in the front lose their thunderous charge and have a -1 to hit. So what I'm going to try and do is get some of my spear warriors into those cavalry to take away their thunderous charge and kind of blunt that blade. Shock troops are the more punchy version, so they are exactly the same, but they're melee 4+, and they have crushing strength 1 and a slightly higher nerve. It's worth noting that all of these troops have 15 attacks compared to the elves 12s, but we hit on 5 and 4s, which makes their 15 attacks effectively worse. Broodmother is kind of a basic caster inspiring character in Ratkin. She's really good. She's defense 5, which means she's tougher. She still hits on 4s with her 5 attacks. She's got crushing strength 1. She's inspiring. She's nimble, so she's a scoring character. Well, that's irrelevant because we're just playing kill in this game. I'll talk about the scenario in a bit, actually. But she's nimble, which means she gets an extra turn just like an individual. And she has a skill called Radiance of Life. That means at the beginning, at the end of her movement phase, any unit that is wounded within 6 inches that's friendly regains a point of damage. It's very powerful. She also has the spell Drain Life 5, which is a ranged attack where you can attempt to hurt an enemy unit and give any points of damage caused to a friendly unit within 6 inches, which is pretty cool. Then I've got my Brute Enforcer, so he's another character that's pretty cool. Another one of these characters that really, the interdependencies between these characters are very important. But these characters both score, so they're both large infantry, they're higher, so they can see over the shock troops, they're taller. Again, he's defense 5, he's melee 3+, just like the Palace Guard, and he's got, I put a dash 13, no, I don't think that's right. I've written it wrong on the sheet, gosh darn it. If I was professional, I'd go back and correct that. But I'm not going to, he's an 11-13, not a dash 13, so apologies for that. He's got a skill called Brutal, which is in any combat that he's in, he takes away 1 from the nerve value when you're doing a nerve check. So it's very, very powerful. And he also hits like a truck. He's only got 3 attacks, but he's got crushing strength 2. And again, he's nimble. But critically, the skill, the reason really I've included him is for the rallying. So rallying means any unit within 6 inches of the Brute Enforcer gains 1 nerve if it's friendly. So that puts my shock troops to 14-16 and my spear warriors to 13-15, which is pretty cool. And then finally, I've got my weapon team. So my weapon team is a ranged unit. It's speed 6, defense 5 again, and it hits on. It hasn't got any melee attacks, but it shoots a blight spewer 12 inches with piercing 1 and hits on a 4+. It has got terrible nerve of 8-10, the lowest nerve in this battlefield. So pretty killable. Again, it's nimble, so it can move twice and then shoot. Notice it's got that steady aim skill, which means that it can move and shoot without the penalty. So yeah, that's my Ratkin. Let's have a quick look at the battlefield. Okay, so it's a pretty simple table. It's only a 4x4 because we've got little armies. So you can see the 4 pieces of terrain on that table. I kept it simple. We've got a hill at the top there, which is height 3. A forest bottom right, which is height 6. There's a house on the left-hand side. It's got the turn marker on it there. And it's impassable terrain, height 6. And a paddy field, little piece of difficult terrain at the bottom there, which is height flat. Pretty simple. So Christine won the roll for sides and chose the side with the hill, which is sensible. And then we deployed. Okay, so you can see that Christine starts off putting her Palace Guard in the middle of the battlefield to churn forward, and I respond by putting my warriors either side of that paddy field, supported by a shock troop unit each, because I don't want to be caught out by the terrain. She's then got her mage and Argus Rodnar in support. You can't quite see them on this picture. And the cavalry then end up on the right-hand flank, ready to power down and ignore the wood because they've got Pathfinder. I then whack all my little characters in the middle, and that's where we end up. So what we've got here is kind of a melee off in the middle of the battlefield, where we're at the same speed, so there'll be cagey fighting. The difference is that I don't care if I lose my warriors units, and she does care if she loses Palace Guard. The main worry for me is the speed 9 cavalry powering down the right hand flank, so I'll need to try and get at least one of my warriors on that side positioned in such a way that the cavalry can only face spears when they're coming in, even though they're not hindered by terrain. So that's my plan, and I just need to try and outgrind the elves. So I won turn 1 and cracked on with it. Turn 1's pretty simple, as it always is. One thing I did do is mark out the charge range of the cavalry on the right hand side, because they can charge 18. And then I moved up those warriors and just turned them so that I made sure they couldn't sneak past me, and everything else was just a shuffle forward. My characters and my vulnerable stuff into the terrain, and we sat there. So Christine responded by moving everything up but staying out of charge range across the board. There was the opportunity to move within charge range and allow my warriors onto her palace guard to then get murdered, but it would have set up an interesting counter charge from some of my troops, and maybe she wanted to play it a little bit cautiously. She then cracked open with a lightning bolt onto my weapon team, which did 2 damage, and it was fine. Alright, so turn to Ratkin. I simply form a line, and then I turn those warriors on the right hand side so that the cavalry have to charge them in the front, also protecting the flank of those shock troops, everything else being half range. There's no shooting, so we're on to elves. So I think I left the warriors on the left in range of one of the palace guard units, but Christine again doesn't take the bait, and instead shuffles her units over and out of range. Playing a waiting game when you've got this few units is probably sensible. She then lightning bolts onto my broodmother because it's the only unit not in cover. Does 1 point of damage and she's fine. Okay, so as we push into turn 3 for Ratkin, I really want to start pushing the issue on the left-hand side because I want her to engage me as soon as possible so that I can, if you'll forgive the pun, swarm her. I want to be holding off her cavalry for as long as possible on the right, so I spend quite a lot of time just shuffling my units so that only the warriors are in range. Unfortunately, by doing that, I do move everything else kind of out of line of sight, which is something of a risk, hoping that she can't kill them in a single go. Okay, she takes that bait on the left-hand side, which is nice to see, and she keeps the other palace guard out of charge range of the shock troops, and then she also charges the warriors in the woods. Hopefully they can survive that. She then uses her lightning bolts. Having failed to do any damage to the broodmother, of course, she heals it back immediately with Radiance of Life. She chooses the shock troops and again does a point of damage for me to heal back next turn. So let's take a look at how the combats went. Okay, so here we go, a bit of combat. So we've got this unit of palace guard attacking some shock troops, attacking some spear warriors. So you've got 12 attacks, hitting on 3s, damaging on 3s because of your crushing strength 1.
Reroll 1.
Reroll 1s because of elite.
Okay, so what is it? 4, sorry.
Damaging on 3s because you've got crushing 1. Dad, you hit all of those? Oh my god.
Okay. And then what is it?
Damaging on 3s.
Damaging on 3s.
My poor wizard gets knocked over every turn.
Oh!
Or they're going 1s. Okay, that's 2, 4, 6 damage.
6.
Okay, do the nerf roll.
6, so 6 and 8.
So I think they're within rally range. So 13, 15 once. So 13, 6, 7. 7 to waver. 9 to kill. 1. What's that? 6. They're alright. Okay, we have cavalry on the spear warriors. So they are hitting on 4s because of the phalanx. 4s and 4s. 16 attacks with 4s and 4s.
And reroll 1s, yeah?
Yep. Because they're elves.
No 1s. 4s and 4s.
4s and 4s, yep. So. Okay. They're pretty good.
Oh.
What do we got?
7.
7. Don't like that. And they're non-inspired, so they're a 12, 14.
Yep.
7, so 7 to kill once.
5 and 6.
7 to kill once. What have we got? Oh no! Did not want that. So, unfortunately, the warriors are dead. Bad, this is bad. I don't know what's more humiliating, that particular outcome in dice rolls, or the fact that Jamiroquai is playing in the background of those clips. Anyway, so the only troop I have left is the Broodmother, who luckily was facing the cavalry, so I throw her into the front of the cavalry in the hope that she does 1 point of damage, which will stop them. When you say I can't run through her anyway, she's not an individual, but that 1 point of damage will take away their thunderous charge, and she's defense 5, which will make her very hard to kill. So, and then on the left hand side, because they bounce the Palace Guard, I've got a lovely flank with my shock troops, which I hope can kill them off. I then move up my weapon team with the Enforcer to support. The weapon team is going to take a shot at those Palace Guard, and the hope is that I can kill her other Palace Guard and turn my shock troops to protect it so that the War Engine doesn't get splatted. Okay, my War Engine is going to shoot into the Palace Guard, and I've got, I think, 10. Okay, so 4s. I do not have a lead. Oh, it's terrible, look at that. 2 hits.
Who are you attacking?
The Palace Guard, yeah.
Okay.
2 hits, and then damaging 3s, 1 wound. There you go. Kind of thing.
Okay, 1 wound, and are they inspired? They are inspired. Then it's 14, 16.
So I rolled a 7, so they're fine.
There's no way you can roll 14.
No, but if I rolled a double 6, they'd be wavered.
Oh.
So here we are just holding them off.
Mm-hmm.
She's got 5 attacks. She's hitting on 5s because she's gone into the woods. And she is damaging on 4s because she's got crushing 1 and their defense 5, right?
Yeah, okay.
So I've hit twice, which is better than she did in the entire last game when she didn't hit once anything ever. And then defense against 4. Ah, no wounds. That's really bad. No wounds. So they've got still got their thunderous charge for next turn. And then over here, we're going to hopefully kill something. So we'll do the 15 attacks on these guys in the front first.
15 attacks, yeah.
On 5s, and then defense 4. So 5s and then 4s. I'll take that any day. All of them 5s. And then 4s. Move the camera over a bit. 2 wounds.
These are your shock troops, are they?
Yep, so it's
30.
30.
Okay. What, 4s and 3s?
Too many 1s! What's happened to my dice? Terrible! And then 3s. If you live, I'm going to cry, just so you know. And then, okay, that's fair. 2, 4, 6, 7 damage.
Oh, 3s.
Yep.
Okay.
7 damage puts them up to 9. What's their nerve?
It's 15, 17. Am I inspired? I'm inspired?
Yes.
6 and 8.
So that's an 11. So that's dead once. Here we go. Come on, baby guys. Here we go. 7. So they're wavered.
Wavered.
Oh man.
What does waver do?
Means they can't do anything other than reverse. In fact, they can't do anything because they're pinned on 2 sides, so they're stuck there. But what's happened is these guys can come into the flank of my shock troops here next turn, which is very, very bad. Very, very bad to say the least. Nobody wants Palace Guard in the flank, and that's what I've got. So there you go. The mage comes up, I think, to heal. And then the cavalry are stuck there because their Broodmother has done a successful job in blocking, even if she hasn't done any damage. Okay, so we are doing this ridiculous flank. So unfair.
Flank and then hit on
3s?
Hit on 3s, and your defense.
Defense 4, but you've got crushing strength 1. So you're damaging on 3. So 3s and 3s. Roll 3 rolling 1s to hit. Rolling 1. It's a really loud dice cup.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to play with the audios to cover up the dice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that how many hits you've had?
Yeah.
I had like 4 hits.
3, right?
Unbelievable.
Oh, damage with terrain.
Sorry.
Oh.
So 3s. You've done loads of damage. How many got? 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 damage. The 12 damage on the shock troops. They already had 2.
Yeah, yeah.
So now they're on 14 damage. They're a 14, 16. So it's a double 1 once.
Double 1, is that?
If you roll a double 1, then they are always steady. That's the only rule with double 1.
Yeah, okay.
So anything other than a double 1, they're dead. And they're dead because my inspiring is very far away. Bad news. It's all going downhill. This is my poor brood mother.
This 16, 3 and 3. Yeah? Oh, reroll 1, is it?
So that's 12 hits. I'm not feeling very strong about the brood mother's chances right now.
Brood mother, you got. It's 12, 14.
She is inspiring.
Oh.
So 3s. How many is that? 2, 4,
8.
8 damage. So 4 to waver, 6 to kill.
4 and 6, yeah?
Because you've got Pathfinder. 7, so she's dead once. Roll again because she's inspiring. Yay! She lives! I needed some luck. Yeah, so first say things aren't going too well for the Ratkin. I do manage to do something reasonably clever on the right hand side. So the horses are engaged with the broodmother. So I just move the broodmother back and put her onto the edge of the terrain, the forest, so that when the shock troops charge in, they're not hindered. So at least I get an unhindered charge, which is good. Then on the left hand side, the mage, I haven't mentioned it, has been healing in between instead of using lightning bolts. So just to stop him, I send the brute enforcer into the maze, just to turn him off, basically, stop him healing. And then I move my weapon team around so that they can blast at the palace guard that aren't engaged without being charged. And then I countercharge with my Ratkin warriors, which is what I've got left, hoping to finish off those damaged palace guard. Okay, so the weapon team is going to come into these palace guards since he's sneaked around the side. So
From the flank.
It doesn't matter with shooting attacks if it's in the flank or not. So 10 attacks on 4s and then 3s.
Weapon team 10. Oh, okay. 4s and then what?
3s because it's piercing 1. Yeah. So there's a 6 there. Two hits. 2 hits! 3s. 2 wounds. So they're up to 3. And there's no more shooting, so nerve.
15 and 17.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so 12 to waver. No, it's a 9, they're fine. So let's do this one. This is quite fun. The brute enforcer's coming to the mage at the back just because he was annoying me. So 3 attacks. I hit on 3s.
4.
I got crushing 2. So 3s and 2s.
You got crushing 2?
I do indeed.
Okay.
Here we go.
3s and 2s.
So 3 hits because he's a beast. And then 2 wounds.
Okay.
2 wounds on him. Little magey boy. And what's his nerve? His nerve's really good, I think.
His nerve is 11 and 13.
Okay, so I've got brutal, so I add 1 to that, so it's like I've got 3 damage. And I've got 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, he's fine. Yeah! But you can't cast next turn because he's disordered. Let's do the Spear Warriors. Hopeless as they are, bless them. They're trying their hardest, and that's the most important thing.
15.
They've got 15 attacks on 5s and 4s. Kill something, guys, come on! Oh, that's cocked. Missed anyway. 3 hits. Come on, boys! 4s. 2 wounds.
Okay.
So it puts them up to 9.
Mm-hmm.
15, 17. 8 to kill. Twice. It's rolled a 3, so they're fine. Again. Hopeless. Alright, now hopefully I can do something here. Please, because this whole battle hasn't gone very well for me, and frankly I've got a reputation to uphold here. So we have 15 attacks on 4s, followed by 4s, because I'm crushing 1. So I've cleverly avoided the terrain because I'm a genius.
What are you?
Shock troops, hitting on 4s.
Hitting on 4s and then hitting on 4s.
And then damaging on 4s, yeah, because it's crushing 1. That's better. And then damaging on 4s. Four wounds.
So is it
What's the nerve of your horses?
My horses is 14, 16.
14, 16, okay. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Nope. They're okay, but they've lost their thunderous charge.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we can see what's going to happen here. So the mage moves out of the way, and then she multi-charges into the remaining warriors on the left. And then on the right-hand side, she chooses to put the horses into the already wounded broodmother, because that puts her into a good position to then come into the shock troops next turn. Okay, so we are doing the... no! Okay, 2 regiments of Palace Guard against my poor little warriors, who have already got 6 damage. It's not going to be good. Okay. Roll 1. So hit on 3s.
On 3s.
Unbelievably, 10 hits. Not unbelievably, actually reasonably believably. And 3s. Ooh, that's better. That's what I like to see. I mean, they're not going to live anyway, but is that 5 damage? 6 damage.
6 damage.
They're already up to 12.
12.
Their nerve is a 12, 14. I'd just like to say, you don't even need to roll the other damage. They're already on 12. You can just roll their nerve. You can roll it if you like. But, yeah, they're dead.
Okay.
Yeah. And you need to reform. So,
Reform?
yeah. So we have the poor little brood mum, who's down here on her own.
16s and then, what is it,
3s and then 5s, because she's tough. And you've got no thunderous charge.
3s and 5s. 5. Defense 5. Oh.
2, 3 wounds.
Rubbish.
That's fine. She's up to 10. I think you'll be alright. So she's a 12, 14.
12, 14.
So you need 4 to kill twice because she's inspiring.
Oh yeah, okay. What do I need?
4 twice.
More than a 4, yeah?
4 or more. That's a 6. And again. What's that? 6 again. Oh dear.
Good.
Sorry, brood mum. It's not looking good, is it? It's not looking great. So all I've got left to do is to I book the brute enforcer way out of the way because he's points and I need him to live. And he's facing the wrong way, so we can't even hit anything. And then I move the weapon team up and turn it round so I can shoot at the already damaged palace guard without being charged. Hopefully I can wipe them out. And then my shock troops take on the already wounded storming cavalry. Come on, lads, you can do it. Right, so I've got a chance to kill 2 units. I'm still not going to win, but you know. So I've got my weapon team's going to shoot this damaged palace guard. He's got 10 attacks on 4s and 3s. How have I done? Better than last time, slightly. 5 hits. So that puts them on 11.
And they are 15 and 17.
6 to kill twice. It's an 11. Come on. I've killed something, Mum! I've killed a unit! That's the first unit of the elves to die. I'll take it. It's a Pyrrhic victory. That means a loss. Okay, well done, weapon team. You've earned your points. Just. And my swan song. I need my shock troops to kill this Stormwind. Hindered. So we've got 15 attacks on 5s and 4s. Here we go. Okay. I mean, there's 3 hits. It's not funny.
Happy days.
1 wound. They're up to 5.
This 14, 16.
So 11.
9, 11.
11 to kill once. Here we go.
Why is it 1?
Because they're not inspired. Oh, they are inspired, aren't they? Because of that stupid ability. 11 to kill twice. Oh God, it's a 4. Well, your turn 6. So there's not a lot left to do. She's moved the palace guard all the way across the board just to make sure that my shock troops don't get away, unlike the brute enforcer, who is now legging it off to the hills. And some shuffling around just to make sure things are in inspiring range. Okay, so the cavalry are counter-attacking. So they are, again, without their thunderous charge.
16. So it's 16 on 16 on 3. Reload.
You deserve it.
Okay, and then on what?
4s.
Seven.
7 damage.
7, so you are 13 and 15.
6 to over.
And 8.
6 to over, 8 to kill.
Once, yeah?
Just once. Anytime. It's an 8! Unbelievable! Unbelievable! I literally have got nothing left.
These 2 can still attack.
Alright, so it's your honour to roll the dice for turn 7 if there's a turn 7. This is the last turn of turn 6.
What is the turn 7? What to it?
If it's a 4 plus, there's a turn 7. There's a 4 plus, there's a turn 7.
Okay.
Well, there's very little to do. So I just move the brute enforcer further out of range and have a go with the weapon team on the mage because he's already damaged. I managed to waver him, which renders Christine's turn 7 irrelevant. But the game is over. There's the handshake. So there we have it. Beaten by someone who played their second ever game of Kings of War.
Oh.
Yeah! Congratulations. Very good. So how was the game for you?
I enjoyed the 4th round, maybe 3rd round. It's really exciting, actually, when it comes to that point. Personally, I feel like I need to get to know all the rules better because there's always this little things that when you saw you're winning and then suddenly you lose.
Except that you were suddenly winning when I thought I was going to win.
I think it's actually a very good game because you think strategically, but then there's that uncertain element in the role as well, and then that's actually quite exciting. But I'm saying that I will play again is because Steve let me wrong.
I did not.
I
actually didn't. So I wasn't telling Christine what to do as much as I did in the first game. I obviously cracked out a roll again in a flank that I was like, I'm definitely going to get this one, and then I was like, and then they kind of swept across the battlefield with that. Good game. Enjoyed it very much.
I think on Saturday night with some gin and relaxing, gave it 9 out of 10 the experience. 9 out of 10. Yeah.
9 out of 10.
Yeah.
In which case, we will see you next time, possibly. I want to play dragons.
I will lose.